Freaka TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 2.
Hey, I feel amazing.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the final day of the round of 16 here in the GSL Codes. It's been a hell of a season so far. Honestly, a hell of a year with GSL now back in the studio. Thank God. And this season has had some resemblance to Season 1 here. A lot of Terran domination, at least so far.
A lot of Terran domination, but I got to say the games have been so good so far. We also have a Protoss and a Zerg already in the round of 8. We might have another one too with, Astrea, even a foreigner playing. And joining in Group D as we're going to round out the round of 16 with some really exciting matches.
Fingers crossed here that Astrea can actually get to the round of 8. Obviously, if you're watching the English stream here, you're going to be rooting for the foreigners, right? I mean, the Korean players are great, but historically, the GSL has not been a place that's had a lot of success. Other than maybe for foreigners, other than maybe the first 2 or 3 years, but
yeah, I think it's been since really like Jinro and Huck in the first couple of seasons of GSL where we had a Protoss make, or not a Protoss, excuse me, a foreigner make the top 8. Although with the way GSL's been going so far this year, maybe we won't have many Protoss players qualifying either.
And so we're going to see what happens. Special did have some impressive games here in Group C, but it was not enough for him to advance into the round of 8. Astrea, I do think his chances may be slightly better. He always seems to be a player who's in very good spirits, never really intimidated by the atmosphere of the studio or the pressure of having a big international audience that's hoping that he'll move on.
Yeah, Astrea is very cool under pressure, and he's also experienced against a lot of these guys. He's one of those Protoss players that absolutely grinds online tournaments. He's got games against players even in his group online that he's played a bunch of recently. Got a quick glance here at the on-site viewing guide. Of course, tickets go on sale every Friday, so next week's tickets, they go on sale tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. KST. For the round of 8, I'm expecting we're probably not going to sell out. We haven't really had any full houses just yet here in the round of 16. But go online, ticketlink.co.kr. That link right there. I'm not going to say the whole thing out loud because it's too long, tasteless. But
/global /EN /esports. It's easy to remember. Don't need to write it down. Yeah, look, come down and check out the games. We are going to be moving on into the round of 8. And once the round of 8's done, I mean, we have one more day because the round of 4 and the finals are all compacted together.
Yeah, it's almost like a super tournament of days bygone, where we're going to have that on one final Thursday a couple of weeks from now here. As get a quick look at the donation page. Of course, you can go to patreon.com/GSL to contribute. Got some really cool rewards like there. I think there's like back scenes, footage of like the pro players and interviews. There's also replays of these games, which have been so good so far. I mean, if you're a Terran player, a Protoss player, a Zerg player, you want to study and improve your game, there's basically no better bang for your buck than subscribing to the GSL Patreon and getting the pro replays of all these top gamers. I mean, we've had some thrilling matches, some cool builds, already over $17,000 raised.
This is a thing historically that was never given out in Star Leagues, was the replays. So if you want to get your hands on that and really see, the most important StarCraft 2 matches in the world, and you can kind of open them up and look inside and see what the players saw, go down to the kind of fine-grained details. This is your chance to do it, so your support, guys, is very much appreciated. And going into today, man, I mean, I got to say, I think there's a realistic chance at least one Terran advances, but I'm kind of rooting against the Terrans right now.
Yeah, we've already got a ton of Terrans in the top 8, I think 4 right now. Maru, TY, Beyond, and Gumiho already qualified. Hero and Dark, the lone representatives for Protoss and Zerg to this point. And, in Group D, Kira always a force to be reckoned with. His TBP especially very scary. I think he's probably the favorite to get out of this group. And then right behind him, Astrea, Ryung, and Solar, they really all do have a shot.
I think so. Keep in mind the one Protoss we have is Hero so far, and then we have Dark as our other Zerg. Just in case, who knows, maybe Kira and Ryung advance. It's just Terrans. But you couldn't ask for a better Protoss and a better Zerg to have a shot at maybe taking this whole thing that is going to continue on to be a very Terran-heavy bracket so far. So our lineup today, Kira, Astrea, Ryung, and Solar.
Yeah, it should be a lot of really good matches. Going to be kicking things off with Kira versus Astrea. And I was talking with Astrea a little bit before he was getting ready for this match on stage. And, it is a shaky one. Kira, even historically, has always been a TVP killer. He's one of the scariest Terran players really in the world if you're a Protoss grinding any kind of tournament. I mean, it's probably Kira and Maru, the two Terrans you do not want to meet And now the meta, it's even better for Terran in TVP. Maybe that's a map pool thing, maybe that's a balance thing, but no Cure. If he's anywhere close to the form that he's been before, this is going to be basically a boss fight here for Astrea in the first match of the group.
It's going to be a tough one, but I think if there was a season that Astrea would advance out of the group, this would be it. Now, Astrea has been in more GSLs than almost any other foreign pro that we've had here. I think the most has still been Special. I believe he's been in Korea for basically the entirety of StarCraft 2, and even in periods before StarCraft 2. But Astrea has also been somebody who's not consistently resided out here, but will stay in Korea for months at a time and grind it out, occasionally go back and visit family or go to tournaments overseas and then come right back in. So, you know, he is a player that is very much grinding within the Korean ladder, the Korean ecosystem. So let's see what he's got to offer today as we go into map 1 on Grezna.
Yeah, his form's been looking good. We'll see how it carries over here into the offline portion of GSL. Group D, first match, Astrea versus Cure. Can the foreign Protoss match up against one of the best TVP players in the world? Gonna find out very soon, Tasteless.
Yeah, let's get into this, man. Again, a very tough opponent here for Astrea, but I think anything's possible here tonight.
GSL Season 2. Club NV, Cure. Match1 Esports, Astrea.
So we were just updated like literally a second ago that apparently Cure had injured his arm earlier, and I guess is just now out of a brace and playing.
Yeah, that might have some implications here on this match.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. But I guess we have a little bit of time off here, and obviously everybody, you know, it happens that they do get injured. So, yeah, let's see. I mean, that I don't know if that's going to encumber or impede him at all in this match. You know, some injuries can drastically affect your ability to play a game. Others have no impact at all, but let's see how this first game 1 pans out.
I would be even more concerned about just loss of practice time heading into Group D. You know, if this is a situation where he really just had the cast off of his wrist or his arm, you know, within the past couple of weeks, then that's a lot of critical practice time you're missing coming into a group like this one. So maybe Cure won't be in as tip-top shape as we're used to from him, but still undoubtedly going to be a beast here in this matchup.
Yeah, he's been very, very strong in this matchup specifically for some time. Astrea, though, I've always had a lot of respect for this guy. He's got a very good handle on the race. He's definitely one of the players that has a very good head on his shoulders. You know, like, even speaking from my own experience when I would compete, I was a very neurotic player. I felt like I was not nervous about most things, but I get to a tournament and it's like all the anxiety would kick in, and I was really fixated on you know, I got to win. I got to make sure that, you know, everything that I practiced would work out, or this is all for nothing. But a lot of the best players that I saw even way back in the day, and I think it's still true now, are the players that are just relaxed. They're happy to compete. You know, they're very zen, and Astrea has always struck me as one of those players.
Yeah, especially with all the experience he has under his belt now. This is a guy that got, you know, top 12 at ESL Summer. You know, he's competed, and I think this is his 4th GSL Code S, if I'm not mistaken. So he has so much experience in the offline stage, not just abroad, but also here in Korea. And I mean, you can see it when you talk to him when he comes into the studio. He's calm, he's relaxed, he's happy and conversational, and he's excited to be here and to play. So his mindset going to be in a very good place here coming up against Cure. And now the builds are coming through. Cure opting to go for a 3-racks opening. Astrea going for an early Stargate. So this can be a little scary here for the Protoss player if Astrea does not identify very quickly that a bio push is inevitably going to come.
And if you look at the entrance to the natural base here, it's very wide open, right? So a push like this can be pretty scary. You don't have any kind of a high ground advantage to even take control of early on. Is he going to just run right in? Okay, yeah, he is. It looked like there was a little bit of a a hole in the defenses there.
He's going to try and get past, but
Yeah.
Stalker and Sentry should be able to zone that out. Plus, really nice building placement. This is one thing that I always notice from Astrea whenever he's playing is his building placement is top-notch. I mean, SimCity-wise, he's blocking every single possible avenue that Reaper could take. He has his units in the right position as well. Just really solid stuff.
There really is an art to having really good building placement, like perfect placement, where everything is thought out, everything is very deliberate and has a purpose.
Yeah, even like the battery pylon is all the way tucked away at the top of the natural expansion. That's not going to go down very easily. The battery also very far back. It's going to be hard to snipe that if you come in with bio units. And the pylon that has the fast warp in, the one that's close to the Nexus, all the way on the other side of the expansion. So yeah, there's a lot of forethought here in terms of, you know, how are we going to set up our base to deflect whatever attack might come out from the Terran. And, you know, with that hallucinated Phoenix that Astrea sent out earlier in the match, he has a pretty good idea that something like this is going to come.
So moments like this from Cure, I mean, they can be scary, but if you don't get anything done, that can be a problem as well. But it's looking pretty intimidating. I mean, you know, the upgrades are going to line up perfectly. He's going to be able to come right in there. There is a stasis ward set up, and it's in a spot that's going to be pretty hard to identify. It almost looks like Astrea is basically ready to, like, start the fight, do some damage, run away, and then after he's just chiseled off a little bit of the infantry, freeze it, and then probably win the fight from here. But again, we'll have to see how everything's executed.
All right, Kira is stimming in, and let's see if he's... Oh, it looks like he doesn't know about the stasis ward, but only the Marauder gets caught. I don't know if that was Kira spotting it out and microing perfectly, or if that was just a fortuitous turn of events for him, but...
Kind of a funny interaction there. Yeah, only one thing was frozen.
And those units, they move so quick, right? He's able to get out of the orbit before it actually pops. And behind that, Astrea losing the harassing Oracle in the main base there of Cure is even more bio now is coming out. Starport only just now completing. So for Cure to get this much bio onto the field this early, he is sacrificing his tech quite a bit. The Stargate units, or Starport units, excuse me, not out just yet, but it is an intimidating force regardless of whether or not there is going to be healing. There's still so much bio on the field.
There's definitely no sustain here, so every time you stim, even if you get a lot of damage done, you are sacrificing HP long-term until a medevac can get into the game and heal it.
Third Nexus now coming in here for Astrea, first Colossus. About to pop, and considering these Marines are already quite bruised, it should be a nice setup here for Astrea, should he be able to be in a good position against this. And I like the shield battery as well, covering both the natural and the third base. A very well planned out SimCity by the foreign Protoss.
And I don't think that Cure's going to be able to get too much done here. Okay, so what we just saw there, I think, was a moment where you clicked on a part of the map so far away that some of your units actually pathed through the danger zone where the rest went the way you intended. You got to be careful about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Shift clicking is sometimes worth it, even if it's a little bit more time consuming.
All right, well, Cure seems like he's getting ready to posture a little bit more outside the third base here of Astrea. Astrea might be gunning for a fourth Nexus as well, as you know, now that he has that first Colossus out, he's feeling quite a bit more safe. He can start to fill out his tech more. He's got the Forge upgrades coming through now. Twilight Council just now started, so he's been playing a little bit lower tech to match the force that Cure's bringing to the table, and this is something that can happen in this matchup is, you know, you have to match the tempo of the Terran player, otherwise they might just catch you off guard and kill you, right? But it might also lead to a timing where Cure can get something done. You know, should Astrea's army be too immobile a couple of minutes from now, maybe a Doom Drop can't even be stopped by Phoenixes, and that's something that can snipe critical infrastructure in the main base of the Protoss.
Well, he scans up here. I don't think he'll commit in. Hold on, he's going to stem. I guess he wants to just get rid of this assimilator. Hey, I mean, it's something, right? If you can take it, you might as well. This has been spotted, by the way. There's an observer posted up just outside where you can see this. So I would imagine that we're going to see Astrea be pretty prepared for this. But instead, here is just basically taking whatever he can, even if it's just a straight pylon or two, an assimilator that's sticking out a little bit too far. And that's fine. He's not suffering any losses from this. It's not a trade. It's just him really being efficient and continuing to rotate.
Yeah, and Astrea is playing this really smart too. Just very conservative, not overextending at all here against Cure, who is known for his aggression, specifically in TVP, as being top-notch. And you know, Astrea, sometimes we'll see him play, you know, in ESL Open Cups or in, you know, lower stakes tournaments, and he can be quite greedy in that kind of environment. So to see him kind of change his pace of play here to try and match Cure and keep the same tempo as the Terran and not overextend. Shows a lot of patience and a lot of experience too.
It's been a really good game so far here. One where Protoss has not been able, or not been stopped in developing up. Terran is still on 3 bases. Now we need to see that 4th come out here for Astrea pretty soon. Cure is ahead in supply, and he may see a moment in here where he can try to come in and full-on attack.
Yeah, and I think Astrea right now is just waiting on Disruptors to actually start to move out on the map and try and take that 4th base. But you know, he's been scouting with Hallucinated Phoenixes this whole time, so he knows that Cure's eco is pretty much matching his. As a result, you know, he isn't feeling the need to really move out too quickly here. Nice catch on that Widowmine, able to snipe it. Actually, Cure moving forward in a bold move. Astrea barely able to skirt back with that Colossus in the front at maybe 10% HP, just 41 HP in total. Very dangerous maneuver there. I mean, losing a Colossus in a situation like this could be devastating here for Astrea, especially now with the Vikings entering the field.
So we've got that 4th Nexus starting here. Really, Astrea has been buttoned up so tightly. Nice little assassination on the base. He gets in, he stops it, he runs back out. It is a strain, especially with Colossus tech, to try to protect a whole bunch of different areas. You know, obviously they can walk up hills, but most of the time they're just kind of almost like a hen in the army's the eggs or something. They just kind of like sit on top of everything.
Yeah, they do feel like that a little bit. You're right.
Yeah.
All right, Cure coming back into the 3rd base. A little bit slow here on this. We'll see if the Disruptors can find a Purification Nova. I thought for sure we're going to see one pop there, but instead, Astrea just hanging back, playing it very conservatively as these Zealots just rain chaos in the main base right now of Terran. And this is a little bit scary too, with 10 SCVs going like down like this, and Cure still close to max supply means that his army is just going to keep getting bigger and better. But Astrea, you know, on the ground, he's doing a great job of just kind of almost like an armadillo, keeping this tight ball of units, not overextending at all, and making it very difficult for Cure to attack into him.
I think he's going to be able to save both of these upgrades here. That's too bad. 18 SCVs have been killed. Cure's going to dive in once more. And this is a really weird spot. It seems like the Zealots are kind of getting log jammed trying to come back out there, but neither Colossus is killed. Hold on, we got another attack up here. Disruptors.
Yeah, Disruptor's first Purification Nova comes off. Tried to get the Widowmine, but seems like he might have clicked a Viking there. Wasn't able to actually get the connection that he needed. And Cure is really keen on denying this 4th base. He might be able to get it too. Gotta be careful.
Yeah, we have that back and forth dance over there. I mean, Cure is technically up in bases. He did lose a lot of workers, but you know, right now the worker count is dead even, which goes to show you where Cure was earlier. But he's basically kind of pushed and pulled at all these different angles and really kept it pretty difficult for Astrea to kind of go on the map. Now, I love what we're seeing here is just these DT drops here and there. A way to try to kill workers, and you know, if you're not super attentive, you're not going to notice this in time. I mean, already about 10 workers killed.
Yeah, a ton of SCV damage coming in from Astrea in the last couple of minutes as he's been able to dish out the harassment better than Cure really has this game, as Cure's game plan truly has just been controlling the Protoss.
That was painful to see.
Die the most undignified death any Phoenix possibly could.
So he's going to leave just the bare minimum here to defend. I was about to say, we haven't really seen Astrea attack out yet. Well, that time's finally here, and this is an orbital. There's really no defense here other than a turret, and that's about to go down here as well. So, you know, Cure probably a little bit caught off guard, but now we see that Cure decides instead of going back home to defend, he's just going to attack and further.
Yeah, that 4th base for Astrea getting taken out here is a critical blow because, you know, the mining right now in the main base and the natural of Protoss, not as good as it once was. And now this small force fighting against both the Vikings and all the bio on the ground as more Disruption Novas come in. Now, a nice pickup here by Cure. Alleviates a lot of the damage, but 18 SCVs already going down. Now, Astrea has to recall back to the 3rd base. And I don't know about the Novas here, man. I think they're all on cooldown. This is a disastrous situation for Astrea.
I think Cure just won. That's it. GG. A pretty masterful TVP there from Cure.
I mean, he's just so good at this. His decision-making especially is on point. I mean, he didn't really feel the pressure despite not getting too much damage done on Protoss' side of the map. He's like, you know what, I'm just going to delay your 4th base as long as possible. And then once Astrea felt confident enough to actually move across the map and try and get some damage done, Cure just pounced in a really big way. He had the perfect split on his army, enough to deal with the force back at his base. And also enough on Astrea's side of the map to take down the 4th Nexus and also push into that 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, again, Astrea probably not too shaken with that. It does seem like when it comes to that game, it was a very patient Astrea that did defend, it didn't get killed, but wasn't able to out-expand the Terran. I mean, Cure played his role very well. And eventually Cure just mined more. He had a bigger army at the very end. When it was Astrea's turn to come and try to counterattack, it really didn't do very much, and Cure was able to even sacrifice his base for a moment to get in there and take out the critical stuff that Astrea had.
Yeah, and those disruptor-based armies can feel so flimsy, especially when you start to split them off from the main force. I mean, disruptors, they really excel when they're just truly one big group of units. When you have like 6, 8 disruptors assisted by, maybe 20 supply of immortals and gateway units and maybe 1 Colossus, it's a very precarious situation because those cooldowns, they run out very quickly. We saw that when Astrea tried to recall back to his 3rd base to defend against that. He just had no Novas left. Everything got evaporated in almost an instant. And it's also a very awkward army composition to actually breach a position with. It's very good at defending when you can just kind of stagger the Novas, sending them out on the map one after another and just letting the cooldowns reset as you anchor a position. But if you're trying to break a Terran player, it's very tricky to actually do that well with the composition Astrea was running. So I think he's asking for a pause here to try to collect his thoughts, decide what his approach is going to be here in the next game.
Well, it was a situation where Cure was really able to leverage his position so well, and that really means that Astrea probably has to kind of rethink the matchup itself. Because he didn't play poorly. I mean, there was even a moment where it's like, it seems like all that Cure can do is take out like 2 stray pylons and an assimilator, right?
Right.
You would look at that and say, well, Protoss is in pretty good shape. However, Cure was able to out-expand him without ever really making any serious defense back at home. The best offense truly can be, the best defense, can truly be a good offense, right? And Astrea maybe playing kind of an honorable Protoss game might not be the way to do it. It might not be about finishing your tech tree. He might try to go for something more timing-based, more aggression-based, and try to play that out from here. We'll find out. Let's go.
2023 GSL Season 2. Club NV, Cure. Match1 Esports, Astrea.
There it is.
Scarlet and
even
me.
Scarlet.
2 of the best gamers the Americas have ever produced on stage right now. So good to see him in the studio.
So good to have him down here. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in exactly, with that break being used, what Astrea wants to do here.
Yeah, I'm curious how he's going to mix it up because, in game number 1 there against Cure, it did really feel like, yes, he was trying to kind of play this slow and honorable style, but that's really in response to Cure's reputation as a Terran player in this matchup. He's very good at picking Protoss players apart with multi-prong aggression, as we saw him try relentlessly in that last match to do. And so Astrea just really leaned into trying to defend on the ground. The Phoenixes were really the only anti-air that he had. He focused on mostly charge zealots on immortals. He got 4 Colossus out and then pumped up maybe 8 disruptors in total. He just made a very difficult army to attack into, but Cure, his decision-making is also so good that he recognizes the situation. He knows that the only damage he can really get done in a spot like that is to maybe delay the 4th base and kill some stray buildings like those pylons and that assimilator.
Right.
And once you reached maxed army there for Astrea, he felt the pressure to actually get something done, and that didn't work. And so now we're back to the drawing board here in game 2 in this PBT, and I wouldn't be surprised if Astrea tried to reinvent himself a little bit here.
Sure.
In his approach to the game, because what happened in game number 1, while it felt very solid through the earlier portions of the PBT, once you get into those later stages, again, especially against a Terran player with decision-making as crisp as Cure's, it's tough to make the right calls. So maybe something more wild coming out here as Astrea throwing down a proxy pylon here in the middle of the map.
Yeah, what exactly does he want to do here? I mean, I guess the most milquetoast thing to do would be to make a Stargate, but
Oh, it's a gateway.
It's a gateway. Okay, cool. So, in this case, you know, it's going to be to apply pressure pretty early on here. Now, I mean, last game, that's not to say that Kier's going to do the same thing, but last time, Kier went for a pretty quick triple Rax. Ooh. This time it is a starport coming down here.
A little bit of a mismanagement there on that shade. Astrea loses the first Adept, and you have to wonder how much that's going to hinder this pressure, as he does have a proxy gateway on the map. Clearly wants to get something done. But yeah, Kier with a little bit of a different build here. Not 3 barracks, just opting for that fast factory. And you know, this Hellion scouting into the main base, I'm not sure how much information it's actually going to be able to glean. It will know that Astrea is not going for a fast third, but beyond that, it doesn't really have the same utility as a Reaper at this stage, being able to get in and gather intel, as we have a lot of Adepts actually warping in. Oh, this might be a good timing should Kier decide to go across the map with all of his units.
Well,
but,
he's going to go right underneath the medevacs.
Yeah,
well, hold on. He doesn't react. He might not have been looking. It's not exactly a moment you're eyeballing the mini-map, right?
And he's also not sending it back home, so Kier's just decided to forfeit the natural expansion for now. He actually does scout the proxy gateway as well with the medevac. And he's just going to go and try and get some harassment done of his own. And so Astrea, recognizing that, is going to recall these Adepts back home up for a Dark Shrine. Looking like another DT drop.
Yeah, now he doesn't get close enough to the DT tech. And honestly, with what you were scouting back there, you might not be expecting it. You see a Twilight Council to Robo like every StarCraft 2 game in this matchup, right? You don't look at that and go, but is there a Dark Shrine?
Yeah, especially with a Hellion going into the natural expansion and seeing the gas geysers just get taken then means that it's going to be something more mineral heavy, but no, Kier might be thinking that some observers might be on the field, or RoboBay might be coming, or Blink, or Glaives is being researched, right? So, you know, as of yet, he doesn't know that DTs are in the cards here for Astrea, but the drop coming in yet again, and this Hellion in the natural expansion, he might figure it out very quickly. Question is it going to be too late?
Yeah, that is the question, right? Like, hold on. Drop in the main. I don't see anything here to defend.
Oh, Raven actually is on the field, so there is detection here for Kier. That is not the first Raven being produced. He actually already has one on the map.
But with the Adepts already here, like, doing damage.
He gets a couple of SCVs, but the Cyclone tank and a Raven like this.
Yeah, now the Cyclone going to chip away at the shields there. And in its funny mirrored situation, both of the harassing units have to kind of pull away and float over an area where they can't be hit. He's going to morph a DT into the onto the low ground there and maybe try to quietly squeeze that back into the main when there's another push coming out from Terran later on.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something like that. You know, scouting that your opponent not only has vision of your Dark Shrine, but also has a Raven out in their natural expansion and their main base.
Is he going to power that gateway again? Is that why that...
Oh, is he?
Worker's there?
I guess so.
Oh, no DT Blink.
Yeah, DT Blink is probably very far away right now.
Yeah. So, they have the medevac continuing to swing through here. And the game quieted down quite a bit. I mean, at this point in time, it's just 2 players both on 2 bases powering up. They both suffered a decent amount of losses. I think Astrea is probably fairly ahead, and I think has a few more opportunities.
Yeah, I feel like Astrea, nothing's really gone bad for him just yet, and he got a lot of damage from the natural expansion, but the army composition that he's building towards does not scale very well against Terran, and he's actually adding on 3 more gateways instead of taking another base, so he might just go all in here with Charge and some Archons and Immortals.
Yeah, this is actually not a bad idea. But if Terran is also powering, I don't believe a 3rd command center was ever made here, right?
Nexus does go down now, so there is a fallback plan here for Astrea should he decide that pressure is not going to work, and Kier has a really good SimCity back at home to deal with this.
I think he wants to try to snipe the tank in the front here. Hey, not bad, actually.
Yeah, good pick.
Oh, the Immortal! Okay. Yeah, you know, it's kind of a funny maneuver, but I think that was a really good tactic to kind of drop just in range. Immortals don't really care about the first shot from that siege tank, and try to, you know, snipe that and then pull away. And now he's going to basically come in here with a big push. But this wall needs to be raised.
Oh, it's still down. Actually, Archon's dropping on top of the depots. The Warp Prism gets disabled here, but Protoss able to get fully into the main base here of Cure, or at least the natural expansion. Oh, all the SCVs clump up, 10 get taken out.
Yeah, Astrea's doing it. That actually might be game here. We got a drop over here in the main, but like I don't see any way that Terran can reclaim the low ground for some time now. Astrea is losing a lot of his probes here. There's a lot of depots that are going to be killed down here, by the way. Terran's already supply blocked. You're ready to go way down in production.
Three more depots are going to go down, plus one weapons also got denied there from the Terran player as Astrea, just with a keen sense, moved in at the right time. Once those depots were down, he drops the Archons on them, does not let Cure raise them back up, and suddenly that defensive position is way weaker without the Sim City that Cure was planning for. Astrea completely able to breach it, but now let's do an inventory of where both players are at, right? Astrea, yes, he is going up to 3 bases now, whereas Cure, at least for the moment, is only mining off the main CC, but word counts very even, 33 SCVs to 35 probes. Army supply right now favoring Cure, and he actually might find some more picks here in the main base of Astrea, as Astrea's got pretty much everything parked in the natural expansion for Cure, so this double drop here in the main base of Protoss allows Cure to retake that expansion, kills a couple of probes, loses some more mining time, and Cure, although he is only on these 2 bases, he does have a lot of tempo in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, Astrea, I got to say this has been a great game from him. He does stop the 2 drops from coming in there. I don't know if Astrea wants to try to come back out on the map. I mean, basically with the drops over there where they're at, you can generate a threat anytime the Protoss tries to leave. So, this was basically Cure's best shot at actually getting out. And getting his natural up, because if he didn't get that natural up in the next minute or 2, he's just going to be so economically obsolete it's not even funny.
Yeah, the main base is already mostly mined out. Only 10 SCVs can mine efficiently here, and Cure does have a 3rd CC, but he's a little bit timid taking that expansion because he knows Astrea has such a strong force on the ground right now, and Cure just finding what damage he can. A little bit reminiscent of the previous game here, just trying to pick off a Cybernetics core, but unable to get the surface area there with the range units to really take it out. And now the Colossi are on the field here for Astrea. This Protoss army is starting to look sufficiently complex to deal with what Cure is dishing out.
I mean, Cure is bouncing back pretty nicely. Terran can function on 2 bases, in this position with Protoss on 3, so it's not the end of the world. We do have that 3rd command center done for Cure, so I think that's going to be landed pretty soon here.
Yeah, it's just taking his time before he lands that 3rd command center, and Astrea, he's happy just to power back at home, knowing that Cure is mining off of only 2 bases right now is his vision. Looking at the mini-map is very good. These Zealots going to try and take off that Cyclone. Would be nice if they could catch it. Oh, Cure actually not bringing it all the way to the natural. A little bit of missed micro there from the Terran player. That's going to be a very big boon here for Astrea, because now he can come back in with our Warp Prism almost unimpeded.
Yeah, I mean, Cure is really bouncing back impressively. We got that Warp Prism over here, ready to warp in anything. Probably a DT or some Zealots if he had to. But, with Protoss about to be even on bases, I mean, Astrea needs to do something. I assume we're going to wait for that Thermal Lance to finish and him to try to find something there. Here comes that drop, by the way.
Yeah, drop coming once again into the main base here of Astrea as probes go down. Actually, a lot of resources committed here for Astrea to try and deal with this, as that might be the clue that as Cure needs to try to move on to that 3rd base. I mean, there's a Colossus here at the natural expansion. There's a Colossus in the main base as well. That's a lot of forces that aren't consolidated over here on the south side. So if Cure is going to make a move on that 3rd base, you would think it would be now, but still just does not feel confident, because Astrea's army on the ground, it is so powerful. It's mostly charged Zealots. The upgrades for Cure, especially bio-wise, only +1 ground weapons. Not the best.
Here comes that drop now. This is really kind of the moment we've been waiting for this whole game, is, what has this game built itself up for here for Astrea? As we had Cure get gimped here, is there any way for Astrea to now capitalize on this situation? The DTs don't do much. If anything, they probably lost money even being made here. They weren't able to do the kind of damage they needed. Cure is still roaming right now with this medevac. Is going to probably get most of this unloaded. It's going to be a bit of a headache to clean up here, especially with this auto turret. And back at home for Cure, I don't know that he's going to get cracked open.
Yeah, this drop also going to get big hit off.
Oh my God!
13 SCVs, 15 probes now going down. Astrea is below 40 workers, and You have to wonder whether he's going to pull the trigger and go for an attack right now, because that's a lot of economic damage to suffer back at home. Cure might be outscaling him for the next few minutes. And yeah, we have hallucinations coming in to absorb some of the damage on the front line here. Astrea looking to break this third base.
Yeah, I mean, so far not so good. Astrea, excuse me, just kind of bounces off of Cure without getting any real impact done. 40 probes here for Astrea. I mean, he's really hurting. He's really in a tough spot. Cure, I mean, let's not forget, there was a period in this game where he literally was on one base. There was Immortals and Archons and Zealots and Stalkers just outside of his natural. He had to do some really complicated tactical stuff to even get his second base back up. And here we are now with a massive supply lead for Cure. A very uncomfortable supply lead, especially when it comes to the Army. And it seems like we're about to see Cure on the move. And that could very well be a move where he might be able to finish off one or two of Astrea's bases, which could ultimately cost Astrea the game.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like the harassment on Astrea is snowballed to the point where Cure can really start to get something done on Protoss' side of the map here, as Cure not only just taking this 4th command center. Oh, he's actually bringing it down from the main base. I was wondering why it wasn't under construction just yet. So he's going to just remain on 3 CCs, transfer that over here to the 4th base, and now he's nearing max supplies. And let's keep in mind that Astrea, he's been focused so much on defending, but he doesn't even have any Forge upgrades yet. Double Forge only just now started, might be a little bit too late, as Zealots are going to run into the 3rd base of Cure, but I don't think he minds that much. He's getting ready to reach this position over here in front of the natural expansion.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of damage. The angle is so good here for Cure. The Vikings have barely taken any damage. Meanwhile, the Colossi are just getting ripped apart. Hold up. He's going to keep trying to push through.
Yeah, that was one of the best disruptor hits that I've seen there from Astrea, but there's no answer here to the Vikings, so all the Colossus eventually going to get taken out, and there isn't enough bio on the ground to actually clean this up.
And, you know, even though it seems like Astrea may survive this, it's the complexity of the Protoss' army that's gone. The Immortals are gone, the Disruptors, the Colossi. The only thing that's left is the Stalkers, so as Terran refills a very balanced army setup, it's going to just be tier 1s and whatever robo units can be cranked out in time here for Astrea. And usually at the death of a Protoss in this matchup, it's really a 1-2 punch, right? You destroy the army, the complex parts of the army, and then you come back in the next fell swoop and get that killing blow, and I think that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, just a handful of gateway units and 3 disruptors on the field here for Astrea as the 4th base falls. You got to think that we're entering the twilight of this series. Cure firing on all cylinders. I mean, Astrea, he's trying to fight back. He's trying to send in Zealots, whatever he can, but Cure with a clean 2-0 and a nice comeback win there in Game 2 will be the first player to advance to the winner's match of Group D.
I got to say, Cure looks terrifying. I think Astrea looked actually very good, but I think we're seeing why Cure is such a threat in this tournament. But, you know, 2 games here where I think Astrea played very well, but Cure kind of proved, you know, he's got a masterclass here in this matchup and was really able to kind of outposition Astrea in both games.
Yeah, it does feel that way. And, you know, Game 2, it feels especially bad there for Astrea because he was in a great position once he broke the natural of Terran. And he wasn't able to close out the game. And the harassment just really piled on from there.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a short break. Coming up next, Ryung versus Solar as we continue on in Group D. We will be right back.